If your mind is still racing tonight, let this play. When the mind refuses to slow down at night. The night begins quietly, but your mind does not follow. The day has ended. The lights are lower. The room is finally still. Yet inside, something keeps moving. Not loudly, not urgently, just enough to keep you awake. During the day, your mind knew how to stay busy. It responded when it was needed. It focused when something demanded attention. It moved forward without asking how much energy that took. There was always something to do, something to think about, something that kept your thoughts from settling. But now, the day has stepped back, and when the noise fades, your mind finally has space to speak. Thoughts appear without warning. Not one clear worry, but many unfinished ones. A conversation you replay without realizing it. A moment you wish you had handled differently. Something you forgot to say. Something you're unsure about tomorrow. You don't chase these thoughts, they come on their own. And the more you try to ignore them, the more persistent they feel. You tell yourself it's time to rest, that nothing can be done right now, that thinking won't help. But the mind doesn't slow down because it's told to. It slows down when it feels safe enough to stop. Tonight, your mind is not racing because something is wrong with you. It's racing because it has been running all day without a place to land. During the day, there were distractions, movement, noise, purpose. At night, there is only stillness, and stillness exposes what was carried quietly. Your thoughts aren't dramatic. They aren't even very clear. They are repetitive, looping, soft but constant. The kind of thinking that doesn't feel intense, just exhausting. You turn once in bed, then again, not because you're uncomfortable, but because rest hasn't arrived yet. Your body is tired, but your awareness stays alert. You may wonder why this happens so often at night, why peace feels farther away when everything finally slows down. But the night did not create this restlessness, it only revealed it. Your mind has been holding things together for longer than you noticed. It remembered details, tracked responsibilities, stayed prepared. Even when you didn't realize it, your thoughts were working for you. Now that the work is done, they don't know how to stop yet, so they keep moving. This is not anxiety demanding attention. It is fatigue asking for rest. And fatigue does not respond to pressure. It responds to permission. Tonight, you don't need to force your thoughts to disappear. You don't need to understand each one. You don't need to solve what they bring up. You only need a place where they no longer decide the rhythm of the night. Notice how the room remains quiet, even as your mind continues to move. The stillness around you does not react to your thoughts. It does not hurry them. It does not resist them. It simply stays. You can allow your thoughts to exist without following them anywhere. They don't need answers right now. They don't need conclusions. They are simply signals that your mind has not rested yet. And that is allowed. You don't have to correct this moment. You don't have to label it as failure or weakness. You are not behind because your mind is active. You are human. Tonight is not about winning against your thoughts. It is about no longer being driven by them. You can let them come and go without engaging, like background noise that fades when you stop listening closely. As you remain here, without effort, without urgency, something subtle begins to shift, not in the thoughts themselves, but in how much power they have. They lose their grip, their speed softens, their urgency quiets, not because you controlled them, but because you stopped reacting. Rest does not begin when thoughts end. It begins when effort ends, and effort is already loosening. The night is wide enough to hold you, even with a busy mind. You don't need silence to be allowed rest. You only need to stop trying to manage the moment, As this awareness settles, the night continues at its own pace. Slow, unforced, gentle. And without realizing when it started, the pressure to stay alert begins to fade. Why trying to control your thoughts makes them louder? When your mind refuses to slow down, your first instinct is almost always the same. You try to control it. You tell yourself to stop thinking, to calm down, to relax. You remind yourself that it's late, that nothing can be solved right now, that rest is more important than replaying the same thoughts again. And yet, the harder you try to quiet your mind, the louder it seems to become. This is not because you're doing something wrong. It's because the mind does not respond to pressure at night. During the day, control works, structure works, focus works. But night is different. At night, the mind is no longer responding to tasks. It is responding to safety. When you try to force calm, your mind interprets that force as urgency. It assumes something important must be happening, something that requires attention, something that cannot be missed. So instead of slowing down, it becomes more alert. It scans, it reviews, it prepares, not to harm you, but to protect you. Your racing thoughts are not enemies. They are overworked guardians. They stayed active all day, making sure things were handled, anticipating needs, keeping you moving forward. Now, when everything finally stops, they don't know how to turn themselves off yet, so they keep checking. They replay conversations, not to torture you, but to see if something was missed. They revisit decisions, not to create doubt, but to make sure you're prepared. They bring up tomorrow, not to steal rest, but to keep you safe. And when you try to silence this process, the mind tightens its grip, because control feels like danger to a system that is already exhausted. This is why telling yourself to just relax often has the opposite effect. Relaxation cannot be commanded. It must be allowed. Control keeps the nervous system engaged. Permission lets it settle. Tonight, you are not being asked to stop your thoughts. You are being invited to stop wrestling with them. There is a difference. When you fight your thoughts, you stay awake with them. When you allow them to pass, they lose their urgency. You don't need to follow every thought to its conclusion. You don't need to finish the story your mind begins. You can let a thought appear without responding. You can notice it without believing it needs action. This is not avoidance, it is rest. Your thoughts do not need answers right now. They need space to slow down on their own. Think of how your body responds when you stop pushing it, when you stop holding tension intentionally. The muscles don't relax instantly. They soften gradually. The mind works the same way. The moment you stop trying to control it, it begins to unwind. Not suddenly, not perfectly, but gently. You may still notice thoughts passing through. That is okay. They don't have to disappear for rest to begin. Rest starts the moment you stop engaging. The night does not require mental silence, it only requires the absence of struggle. As you allow your thoughts to exist without managing them, your breathing naturally begins to change. It slows, deepens, finds a rhythm that does not need direction. Your body recognizes the shift before your mind does. This is how safety returns. Not through control, but through release. You don't need to monitor this process. You don't need to check whether it's working. Checking pulls you back into effort, and effort is what kept you awake. Tonight, you are allowed to stop trying to rest. You are allowed to rest by doing nothing at all. Your thoughts will slow when they no longer feel watched. They will soften when they no longer feel corrected. They will quiet when they sense that nothing is required of them. As you remain here, without instruction, without pressure, the mind begins to lose its need to stay alert. Not because the thoughts are gone, but because they no longer feel necessary. And in that easing, rest moves closer. not as a goal to reach, but as a state that unfolds once control is no longer in the way. You don't have to solve tonight before you can rest. There is a quiet belief that often follows people into the night. The belief that rest comes after resolution. That sleep is something you earn once everything is figured out, once the thoughts are organized, once the worry has been reduced to something manageable. So the mind keeps working, not because it enjoys staying awake, but because it believes one more thought might finally bring peace. You stay with a question a little longer. You replay a situation one more time. You imagine how tomorrow might unfold. Not with panic, with effort. A calm kind of effort that still keeps you alert. And without noticing it, the night turns into a quiet negotiation. If I can just understand this, if I can just feel settled about that, then I'll be able to rest. But rest was never meant to depend on resolution. You were never meant to solve the night before you could be held by it. Some things do not need answers in the dark. They need daylight, distance, perspective that only time can bring. Tonight does not have the tools to fix tomorrow, and it doesn't need them. Your mind may still believe that staying awake is helpful, that if it keeps thinking, it can protect you from uncertainty. But uncertainty does not disappear because you think longer. It only becomes heavier. There is a difference between preparation and exhaustion. Right now, your mind has crossed that line, not because you failed, but because you've carried enough for one day. Nothing meaningful will be lost if you stop thinking tonight. Nothing important will fall apart because you rest without answers. Tomorrow does not require that you stay awake preparing for it. It will meet you with whatever strength you have then, not with the strength you try to save now. Tonight is not asking you to decide anything. It is not asking you to understand. It is not asking you to be ready. It is simply offering you a pause. A pause from deciding. A pause from planning. A pause from resolving. You are allowed to leave things unfinished. Unfinished thoughts. Unfinished emotions. Unfinished questions. They do not become dangerous because you stop holding them. They become lighter. The mind often resists rest because it confuses letting go with losing control. But letting go tonight does not mean letting go forever. It means trusting that this moment does not need your management. You can set things down without abandoning them. You can pause without failing. Imagine what it would feel like to stop trying to arrive at peace and simply allow rest to begin where you are. No clarity, no conclusion, no final thought before sleep. Just space. Space where nothing needs to be fixed. Space where awareness can soften without direction. You don't need to push your thoughts away. You don't need to convince yourself that everything will be okay. You only need to stop asking the night to do the work of tomorrow. The night is not built for solutions. It is built for restoration. And restoration does not require understanding. It requires permission. Permission to stop. Permission to wait. Permission to trust that rest does not depend on answers. As you release the need to solve anything, something subtle begins to change. The urgency fades first. The pressure follows. Thoughts may still appear, but they no longer demand action. They feel farther away, less personal, less insistent. This is not because you fixed them. It is because you stopped giving them your energy. Rest arrives quietly when effort steps aside. And tonight, you are allowed to rest without resolving anything at all. When silence feels louder than noise. There comes a moment in the night when everything becomes very quiet. Not peaceful, just quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you suddenly aware of every sound, every sensation, every passing thought. During the day, silence is rare. There is always something filling the space. Movement, voices, background noise that keeps your attention anchored. But now there is nothing to lean on. And in that emptiness, your awareness becomes sharper. You hear the smallest sounds. You feel the weight of the room. You notice your breathing. The silence feels heavy, almost intrusive. It can feel as though the quiet itself is asking something from you. This is where many people become uncomfortable. They expect silence to feel soothing. They expect it to bring relief. And when it doesn't, they assume something is wrong. But silence is not meant to perform. It is not meant to fix how you feel. It is simply space. Space where your system begins to recalibrate after a long day of stimulation. Silence can feel loud because your body is still adjusting to the absence of noise. Your mind has been processing constantly. Your senses have been engaged without pause. When all of that stops suddenly, the contrast feels intense. It can feel like exposure, like standing alone without distraction. You may notice an urge to fill the silence, to think more, to reach for something, to turn on noise or movement, not because you need it, but because the stillness feels unfamiliar. There is nothing wrong with this reaction. It is simply habit. Your system is learning how to rest again. Silence does not mean nothing is happening. It means things are happening quietly, beneath awareness. Your breathing adjusts without instruction. Your muscles begin to soften without effort. Small signals of safety start to move through your body. But because these changes are subtle, the mind may miss them. Instead, it focuses on the quiet itself. And the quiet feels overwhelming only because you are paying attention to it. Tonight, you do not need to interact with the silence. You don't need to interpret it. You don't need to make it meaningful. You don't need to enjoy it. You can simply let it be. Silence is not asking you to be calm. It is not demanding stillness from your thoughts. It is only providing room. Room for your nervous system to slow in its own time. Room for awareness to soften without direction. Room for rest to begin without announcement. You are not required to fill this space with prayer or reflection. You are allowed to remain exactly as you are. Even if the quiet feels uncomfortable, it is not unsafe. It is just unfamiliar. And unfamiliar does not mean harmful. As you remain here, the silence gradually loses its edge. Not because it changes, but because your system adapts to it. What once felt loud begins to feel neutral. What once felt empty begins to feel spacious. You don't need to hurry this process. There is no moment you are waiting for. The night unfolds on its own without your guidance. You are not behind because the silence feels strange. You are simply transitioning from movement into rest. And transitions take time. You can allow this quiet to exist around you without needing to respond. It will hold you whether you notice it or not. And as the night continues, silence becomes less something you hear and more something that carries you. Nothing is required of you in this moment. There is a quiet pressure many people carry into the night, even when they don't realize it. A pressure that says you should still be doing something, thinking something through, praying more clearly, feeling more settled, arriving at a better emotional place before rest is allowed. It doesn't come as a loud demand. It comes as a subtle sense that you haven't quite finished the day yet. Even when the lights are off, even when your body is tired, that pressure lingers, as if rest must be justified, as if you need to earn the right to stop trying. Tonight, that pressure can soften, because nothing is required of you in this moment. You are not being asked to understand what you're feeling. You are not being asked to feel peaceful or faithful or calm. You are not being asked to reach a certain state of mind before rest begins. You don't need to fix the day before letting it end. You don't need to organize your thoughts before letting them slow. Rest is not a reward for doing something correctly. It is something you are allowed to receive exactly as you are. You don't have to feel close, you don't have to feel grateful, you don't have to feel anything specific at all. Even numbness is allowed here, even confusion, even weariness without explanation. Nothing disqualifies you from resting tonight. There is no checklist to complete, no standard to meet. You are not behind because you feel tired this way. You are not failing because your mind didn't quiet easily. You are simply human after a long day of holding things together. So you can stop holding now. You don't need to keep watch. You don't need to stay alert in case something goes wrong. Nothing important depends on your effort in this moment. The world will continue without your management tonight. Tomorrow will arrive whether you prepare for it or not, and you will meet it with whatever strength you have then, not with the strength you try to preserve now. Right now, you are allowed to rest without producing anything, without proving anything, without explaining yourself. Notice how your body responds when it realizes that nothing is being asked of it. The shoulders lower slightly, the jaw softens, breathing becomes less guarded. These changes don't require instruction. They happen when pressure leaves the room. Even the parts of you that usually stay tense begin to loosen when they no longer feel responsible. You may still notice thoughts passing through. That's okay. They don't need to stop for rest to continue. Nothing needs to be managed. You don't need to monitor whether you're relaxing correctly. Monitoring is effort. Effort is no longer required. Tonight is not a performance. It is not an achievement. It is a pause. A pause from responsibility. A pause from expectation. A pause from needing to be someone who is doing something. You are allowed to simply be here, breathing, existing, letting time move without your direction. If awareness drifts, that's fine. If sleep comes suddenly, that's fine too. Nothing is interrupted. Nothing is missed. This moment does not depend on your attention. It holds you whether you notice it or not. And as you remain here, with nothing required, the night continues to carry more of the weight for you. Letting go without trying to let go. Letting go is often misunderstood. Most people imagine it as something you must do, a choice, a decision, an action that requires effort and timing. So when they hear the words let go, they try to release everything at once. They try to empty the mind. They try to soften the body. They try to stop caring. And when that doesn't work, they assume they've failed. But real letting go does not come from effort. It comes from no longer trying. Tonight, you are not being asked to release everything you're holding. You are simply not holding it as tightly. There is a difference. You can care without gripping. You can remember without rehearsing. You can feel concern without tension attached to it. Notice how your body already knows this. There are moments when you forget to hold tension, even briefly. A breath deepens without permission. A muscle softens without instruction. Awareness drifts without effort. These moments happen not because you tried to relax, but because you stopped trying to stay ready. Readiness keeps the body alert. Alertness keeps the mind awake. Letting go begins when readiness fades. Tonight, nothing requires readiness. There is no signal to wait for, no response expected from you. So the body can begin to loosen in small, unremarkable ways. You don't need to scan for tension in order to release it. Scanning is effort. Effort keeps things in place. Instead, allow yourself to notice without fixing. The shoulders may still feel lifted. The jaw may still feel set. The breath may still feel shallow. These are not problems. They are habits that dissolve when safety is felt. And safety is not something you create. It is something you recognize. Right now there is no urgency, no demand, no immediate need for action. As your system senses this, it begins to settle on its own. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gently. You may notice that your thoughts become less specific. They lose their sharp edges. They feel farther away, not gone, just less compelling. This is what happens when you stop engaging. You don't have to push thoughts out. You don't have to follow them to an ending. You can allow them to pass without movement, like clouds that drift when the wind slows. If your mind reaches for something again, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Habits don't disappear instantly. They soften through repetition of safety. Each time you notice yourself holding something, you can let go again. Not forcefully, not perfectly, just enough. Letting go does not require that you feel peaceful. It requires that you stop resisting the moment you're in. Peace follows naturally when resistance fades. You don't need to tell your body that it's safe. It already knows when nothing is being asked of it, so you can allow the night to do what it does best, to slow what has been moving too fast, to carry what you've been holding all day, to restore without instruction. You don't need to stay present for this to work. You don't need to listen closely anymore. Letting go happens whether you watch it or not. And as effort continues to fade, rest deepens, not because you made it happen, but because you stepped out of the way. When tomorrow feels too heavy to think about, there are nights when rest feels close, yet something quietly pulls you back into awareness. Not a loud worry, not a specific fear, just the sense that tomorrow is waiting. You may not be thinking about details. You may not be planning anything in particular. But the weight of what comes next is present. Another morning. Another set of expectations. Another day that will ask something from you. And even though nothing is happening right now, the future feels near. Too near. So the body stays slightly alert. Not tense. Just prepared. Prepared to begin again before today has fully ended. This is not resistance to sleep. It is hesitation. A quiet pause that says, if I fall asleep, tomorrow arrives sooner. So you remain here, half resting, half watching. You're not trying to avoid the future. You're tired of carrying it. There is a difference. Carrying tomorrow into the night costs more energy than you realize. Your body was not meant to hold multiple days at once. Tonight belongs to today alone. Tomorrow does not need your attention yet. It does not need rehearsal. It does not need readiness. It will come whether you prepare for it or not. And when it does, you will meet it with whatever strength exists then. Not with strength saved from tonight. Tonight is not meant for preparation. It is meant for release. Release of timelines. Release of anticipation. Release of what has not happened yet. You do not need to imagine tomorrow in order to survive it. You do not need to feel capable tonight in order to be capable later. Capability renews itself through rest. Without rest, preparation turns into pressure. Pressure keeps the system awake. So tonight you are allowed to place the future outside this moment. Not far away, not permanently, just gently set aside. You don't have to name what tomorrow holds. You don't have to decide how you'll handle it. Whatever is coming can wait. Right now, nothing in the future requires your involvement. You may notice a part of you that stays alert out of habit. That part is not wrong. It learned to stay ready because readiness once kept you safe. You don't need to silence that part. You can simply let it rest. Let it know that it doesn't need to watch tonight. Nothing urgent will happen while it sleeps. As this understanding settles, the sense of weight begins to shift. Not disappear, just loosen. The future feels farther away, less pressing. The body responds before the mind does. Breathing slows again. Muscles soften more deeply. You may feel as though something has been set down, even if you can't name what it was. That is enough. You don't need to stay aware of this change. You don't need to protect it. The night holds this space for you. Tomorrow will arrive in its own time. And when it does, you will not face it alone or depleted. But that is not for now. For now, this moment belongs to rest. And rest deepens when the future is allowed to wait. Zoom. Setting the weight down without losing what matters. There is a quiet fear that often appears when the night finally slows you down. The fear that if you stop holding everything, something important might be lost. So even when you are exhausted, you keep a light grip on what matters. Not because you want to, but because you don't know how to rest without letting go completely. You worry that release means neglect, that rest means forgetting, that setting things down means abandoning responsibility. But tonight, you are not being asked to let go forever. You are simply being invited to put the weight down for a while. There is a difference between caring and carrying. Caring stays with you even when your hands are empty. Carrying requires effort. Right now, effort is what has worn you down. Imagine holding something heavy all day. Not suddenly heavy, just steadily present. At first, you hardly notice it. Your body adjusts. Your muscles compensate. But as time passes, the weight begins to pull. Your grip tightens without awareness. Your shoulders lift slightly. Your breath shortens. Not because the object became heavier, but because you've been holding it too long. Tonight, you don't need to drop what matters. You can simply place it beside you. Close enough to remember. Close enough to return to. But far enough that your hands can rest. You don't need to name what you're setting down. You don't need to organize it. Whatever feels heavy already knows where to wait. If part of you resists this image, that's okay. That part learned to stay vigilant because vigilance once felt necessary. You're not dismissing it. You're reassuring it. Nothing important will disappear because you stop gripping it tonight. Nothing meaningful requires your constant effort to exist. You are allowed to trust what you care about to remain intact without your attention. As you allow this idea to settle, notice how the body responds. The hands relax first, the fingers release slightly, then the shoulders lower without instruction. The chest feels less guarded. These changes are subtle, but they are real. Your body understands what the mind struggles to accept. That rest does not erase responsibility. It renews your capacity to hold it again later. You don't need to prepare to pick the weight back up. That will happen naturally when the time comes. For now, your only task is to let your hands be empty. Empty hands do not mean an empty life. They mean space. Space for breath. Space for stillness. Space for the nervous system to finally soften. If a thought returns, asking whether you've forgotten something, you can answer gently, not forgotten, just resting. You don't need to convince yourself of this. You don't need to repeat it. Understanding is not required for the body to let go. As the weight remains beside you, unchanged, untouched, your system recognizes safety. Safety does not need proof. It responds to permission. And permission has already been given. You are not stepping away from what matters. You are stepping into rest, so that what matters does not consume you. As the night continues, the sense of heaviness fades further, not because life is lighter, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. The night holds what you have set down. You are allowed to be held too. How rest begins before you even notice it. Rest rarely announces itself. It does not arrive with a clear moment. It does not wait for silence in the mind. It does not ask for attention. Most of the time, rest begins quietly while you are still wondering whether it has started at all. You may still feel tired. Your thoughts may still drift in and out. Your awareness may come and go. And yet rest is already moving through you. Not because you reached a certain state, but because effort has softened. Rest does not require that you stop thinking. It requires that you stop working. The mind often stays alert long after the body has begun to settle. It checks in. It listens for signals. It looks for proof that it is safe to let go. But safety does not come from confirmation. It comes from the absence of demand. Right now, nothing is being asked of you. You are not being guided. You are not being corrected. You are not being led anywhere. So the system begins to downshift on its own. You may notice that time feels less defined. Moments stretch. Awareness becomes less sharp. This is not losing control. This is releasing it. Rest begins when the need to monitor fades. If your mind checks again, wondering whether sleep is coming, you don't need to answer. Checking keeps awareness active. Activity delays rest. You can let the question pass without responding. The night does not need your permission to continue its work. It will keep slowing you whether you are paying attention or not. Your breathing finds a deeper rhythm without instruction. Muscles release without being told. The body begins to trust that it does not need to stay ready. Thoughts lose their urgency. They may still appear, but they feel distant, less personal, less demanding. This is how rest works. It does not erase thoughts. It changes how much they matter. You don't need to stay awake to make this happen. You don't need to listen carefully. In fact, the less you try to stay present, the deeper rest goes. Awareness itself begins to soften, not disappear, just loosen its grip. You may drift in and out. You may forget parts of what is being said. Nothing is lost. Rest continues even when attention fades. Even when words no longer register, there is no moment you need to catch, no transition you need to witness. Sleep does not require your cooperation. If you remain awake, rest still deepens. If you drift into sleep, nothing stops working. This space is not fragile. It does not depend on your focus. It holds you whether you notice it or not. You are not late. You are not missing anything. The night is doing exactly what it was meant to do, carrying you without effort, slowing you without demand, restoring without instruction. You don't need to think about rest anymore. You don't need to wait for it. It has already begun. And it will continue long after words fade and awareness loosens. There is nothing left for you to do now. No thought that needs finishing. No feeling that needs correcting. No awareness that needs to stay awake. This moment does not ask for your attention. It does not depend on your focus. You don't need to listen closely anymore. If your eyes are still open, they can close whenever they want. If your thoughts are still drifting, they can drift without direction. Nothing here requires effort. You have already arrived by letting yourself stop. The night does not end with achievement. It does not end with understanding. It ends with release. Release from holding yourself together. Release from watching the moment. Release from needing to stay present. You don't need to remember what was said. You don't need to carry anything forward. What matters is not held in words. It is held in this space. If sleep comes now, nothing is interrupted. If you drift in and out, nothing is lost. This moment is not fragile. It does not collapse because attention fades. It continues whether you are aware of it or not. The night is steady. It does not rush you. It does not demand a response. It simply holds. You are allowed to be completely passive here, to stop participating, to stop responding, to stop listening for meaning. Meaning is not required. Rest does not need interpretation. Even if awareness disappears entirely, nothing important disappears with it. What you need does not depend on consciousness. It depends on care. And care does not sleep. You do not need to protect yourself tonight. You do not need to prepare for what comes next. Everything that matters is safe without your effort. The breath will continue without instruction. The body will rest without permission. The mind will quiet without force. You don't need to monitor any of this. Monitoring belongs to effort. Effort has ended. If a thought returns briefly, you don't need to engage it. It can pass without response. If awareness flickers, that's fine. You are not waking up. You are drifting. Drifting does not interrupt rest. It deepens it. You are not required to stay connected to this moment. Connection is already present without your involvement. As the night carries you further, there is nothing you need to hold on to. Nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to become. You are already enough for rest to continue. And before awareness loosens completely, let this truth remain quietly, not as something to think about, not as something to repeat, but as something that stays even when words are gone. You are not alone. You are being held. Christ the provider,